next speaker. I'd like to ask Linda Amirat to join us. Linda is a senior regulatory advisor at the Leatherhead Food Research. She has extensive experience in food legislation in the Middle East, North Africa, and the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, the GCC countries. I suppose if you're working in North Africa and the Gulf, it helps if you are fluent in French and Arabic, which indeed she is, as well as English. Linda obtained a PhD in analytical microbiology from King's College London. She has expertise in microbiology and in developing rapid analytical techniques. And we're very pleased that she's going to be joining us now. And the subject of her talk is going to be GCC Food Laws. And we welcome her to the stage now.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I will take you today through the GCC food law. First of all, thank you for having me here today. I will talk about what needs to be labeled. Dr. Mian said earlier, like lots of additives are not mentioned on labels. So I will tell you what needs to be labeled on any food products in order to go through the GCC. So the outlook of the presentation of today, I will be talking about the GCC member states, the role of the GSO, the Gulf Standardization Organization. I will give you an overview of labeling requirements, and then we will be talking about additives and flavorings, the big topic in the GCC countries, and then upcoming changes if there is any. So the member states of the GCC, there are 7 states. So as you can see, the more influential state is the Saudi Arabia. And then you have Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, and Yemen, who joined recently. So they are highlighted here. And then Yemen. So the organization, the GSO, the Gulf Standardization Organization, when it was established in 1982, where the Higher Council decided to establish the GSO, so basically, the main role of the GSO is to prepare and to print and publish the standards. They basically publish lots of standards during the year, and they do as well updates. They are slow to come, but they still do updates. We go to the general labeling. So what do you know, like, when you buy a food product, what is most important for you to see on your box of cookies, for example, or tomato sauce, or ready meal, or what is important for you? That's a question. Calories. Sorry? Calories. Okay, that's a good point. That's a nutrition table. We will come to it. What else? Price. The price. That's important. Not okay. Ingredients. That's important.
Use by date.
Use by date. That's important. So lots of parameters are very important in order whenever whoever goes and buy food, like any product, cookies, chocolate, or ready meal. So in GCC, how it is governed? Basically, they have 2 Gulf standards. There is one on labeling, which states all what is mandatory to put on your label. And then you have, like exceptionally for GCC, for example, they have the shelf life standard, which is not very common in other countries. GCC, they have 2 parts in it for the shelf life. They have the mandatory standards, and then they have the voluntary one. So you can always have a guidelines on how long you can store your product to be fit in order to go to GCC markets. So those are basically what is important to have on your label. So you have the product names, your list of ingredients. Allergen declaration is very important. Net content, you have your production and expiry date, storage condition, the instructions of use, the name and address of manufacturer, mostly, country of origin, the lot mark, genetically modified food must be declared, irradiated food as well must be declared, and in addition, it must be halal compliant. And if you have anything which is of animal origin, it must be declared as well on your label. So all this goes into the concept of halal and directly. So nutrition labeling became mandatory in the GCC. So calories applies for this one. So this is an example of how to name a product. So in GCC, how it works, either there is a standard for that, so you call the product as it is said in the standard, or if there is like a descriptive name, you can as well name it, or any common name. For example, here, ma'moul, I guess if people from the Middle East here, or maybe you travel to Middle East, you know ma'moul, the small cookies with dates inside. It's very popular, so you can call it just ma'moul, it's sufficient. Wafer, vanilla wafer as well can do as a name. And then you have a list of ingredients. The interesting thing in the list of ingredients here, it needs to be, like headed by the name mukawinat, or ingredient, and then you list all your ingredients. It is important in the GCC countries to give the function of the additive. Earlier you were saying like lots of additives are not mentioned. So in here, like you need to give the function of the additive and additives. And if they are of any animal origin, you need to state that as well. For flavorings as well, they need to be described as natural, nature identical, or artificial, and then you need to name the name of your flavoring. Allergens are very important. To a point in the new standards, the GSO 9 2013, what they did, they have increased the list, so it's more or less like the EU legislation. So all those allergens, they need to be labeled on your product. This is an example, and the only difference with the EU, for example, instead of having the allergen in bold, so in GCC you need to put the declare, contain, and then you put your allergens, yahtawi, and then you have your allergens. The date marking as well, production date in some countries is not important. For GCC, you must put the production date, and you must put as well your expiry date. Those are examples. The net content, the most important thing to remember is to put it to close proximity to your product name. This is how it works in the GCC. Also, you have the storage conditions, because if it affects the shelf life, it's important to mention that. And then you have the name and address of the manufacturer most of the time. Irradiated food, it must be declared. Before the sign, the logo wasn't mandatory, but now you need to put the logo just near proximity to the product name. Now for the GM food, that's the big controversy in the GCC. So the standards, they say, like if it is more than 1%, you need to declare that. But previous contact with authorities, in particular in Saudi Arabia, they say you need to declare that no matter whatever. If you have even less than 1%, you need to declare that. So to now, I don't know what to follow exactly. But if you come to declare and there is any GM food, I think like consumers' point of view, they want to know if the food has any GM in there. So declare it this way in Arabic, منتج يحتوي على مكونات محورة وراثيا, in contrasting color with the whole package. Stickers, sometimes lots of companies, they complain they send to many countries, so lots of languages on their labels. So the best thing to do, sometimes they just put a sticker. So a tip, if you want to put a sticker, don't put only the production or expiry date. It will be a no-no for GCC. So you need to put a sticker which is very difficult to remove, and it needs to be done by the manufacturer. This is an example. For nutrition labeling, so this is mandatory now, and then the only thing to remember from the nutrition labeling is for the energy, it must be in kilocalories. And then the rest may follow the EU. There is no logistic, thank you. There is no kind of order to how to put all the energy, proteins, etc. But you can follow EU provided like your energy is declared in kilocalories. Nutrition and health claims, here like the legislation is not very clear. However, if you have any health claims, they must be substantiated, and authorities in GCC must say yes. And they must be convinced. So I will give you some claims here, and I will ask you if you can tell me if you can say that or not. So if you have a coffee product, can you say for mental clarity and mood altering? Can we say that on a product, like a coffee product? Do you think like it can go? Like, is it correct to say that? No? Yes? No? No. So we cannot say that. And we cannot as well say stimulates vitality. So those are banned claims. You cannot put this on any coffee product going to GCC. And similar to chocolate, helps you grow. You cannot say that. And aids digestion. Yeah. So for additives, this is the big issue to now. Like, this is the hot topic. I think since I have started with Leatherhead, it's nearly 4 years now, waiting for this standard to come. I am leaving in a week to another company, and still the standard is not yet out. So there is a draft. The story is not finished. So for now, those are the standards applicable in GCC. So one must comply with this. There is another one. There is this on flavoring, 707. The story is there is this draft standard on additives, which is globally resuming all the single ones you're seeing here. The only state in GCC who is applying the draft is UAE. So for the other countries, they're waiting for this standard to be finalized because they are still having meetings to now. So the story is not ended yet. I don't know. I will know maybe later. So for now, this is what to remember. The upcoming changes. So there is like, UAE is taking a lead actually for the big project on halal. So I hope this will reach an end. This is very challenging on my own view because they want to make this halal standard where all Muslim countries, they will say yes to it, will comply to it. I think it's very challenging, but maybe doable. We never know. And then there is this new GCC standard, which is coming soon, I hope. It will make life for lots of advisors very easy. So this is for me. So if you, there will be a session of questions. I hope I did not go. Great. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Take a seat.
Oh, thank you.
If I could ask